When you get older, no matter how free you are, don't visit the homes of these 5 people. Have you ever walked into someone's home, feeling excited to catch up, only to leave feeling emotionally drained, confused, or even worse? Like a part of you was sucked out of the room? Maybe you didn't even realize it at the time, but something didn't feel right. That's the thing about growing older. We get a lot of freedom, but along with it, we have to learn to protect ourselves. Not just from the obvious things, but from people too. As we age, we gain the freedom to choose where we go, who we spend time with, and how we fill our days. But here's the thing. Freedom isn't just about being able to go anywhere. It's also about knowing when to stay away. And sometimes, it's about understanding that no matter how free you are, there are certain people whose homes you should avoid. Why? Because not all relationships are healthy, and sometimes, visiting certain people can take more from you than you realize. In this video, I want to talk about 5 types of people whose homes you should think twice about visiting as you get older. It's not about being mean or judgmental. It's about protecting your peace, your energy, and your emotional well-being. You see, as we grow, we start to learn that not all company is good company, and not all connections are worth nurturing. Some people, whether they mean to or not, will leave you feeling drained, frustrated, or worse, questioning your own worth. I've learned this the hard way, and I'm here to share those lessons with you so you don't have to make the same mistakes. Trust me, I've been there, and I've walked away from certain homes realizing I could have spent that time building something better for myself, or simply doing nothing at all. And that's okay. So, if you're ready to hear about these 5 types of people and why their homes might not be the best place for you, especially as you get older, stay with me. Let's get into it. Part 1. The toxic optimist. You know the kind of person I'm talking about, the one who insists everything is always going to be okay, no matter how bad the situation is. They've got that smile on their face, like they're handing out positive energy like it's candy. At first, you might even appreciate it. And after all, who doesn't love a little optimism? But here's the catch. When someone is too optimistic, especially when it's forced or feels fake, it starts to become draining. You know the kind I mean, the toxic optimist. They'll tell you, "Don't worry, everything happens for a reason," or "It could always be worse." But after a while, you start to feel like you can't express anything negative in their presence. They don't allow room for real emotions. Now, I get it. It's easy to just smile and nod, right? After all, who wants to seem negative or ungrateful when someone is just trying to help? But the truth is, when you're in the presence of someone who only sees the bright side of things, you might feel like your own struggles or sadness aren't being validated. You're left with this overwhelming sense that no matter what you're going through, it doesn't matter to them because they're too busy trying to force positivity into the conversation. It's like they can't handle anything that isn't sunshine and rainbows, and in doing so, they dismiss your real feelings. Let me tell you, I've had my fair share of these visits. I've gone to their homes, sat down, and felt like I couldn't say anything without being met with some overly optimistic line. And you know what I realized? They weren't interested in hearing my real concerns. They were just trying to fix everything with a smile, which, in the end, made me feel worse. It's not that I didn't appreciate their kindness. I just needed to be heard, not fixed. The energy in their home felt suffocating after a while. I started feeling like I had to pretend everything was okay, even when it wasn't. And let's face it, life isn't always sunshine and rainbows, no matter how hard we try to convince ourselves of that. Sometimes, we just need a space where we can vent, where we can express frustration or sadness without someone trying to fix us. The toxic optimist's home can become a place where your reality doesn't fit, and in time, you'll realize that it's okay to step away from these situations for the sake of your emotional well-being. Takeaway for viewers. In the end, true optimism isn't about brushing everything under the rug with a forced smile. It's about understanding and embracing the reality of life's ups and downs. True optimism creates room for all of your feelings, not just the happy ones. So, as you get older, be selective about the people you allow into your emotional space. Visit the homes of those who truly listen, who make space for the messiness of life, not just the shiny moments. Protect your peace, and don't feel pressured to fake happiness just to please others. Part 2. The chronic victim. Now, let's talk about another type of person, the chronic victim. This one hits hard because, at first, you might feel so sorry for them. You might think, oh, they've been through so much. I should be there for them. And at first, that's okay. Everyone needs someone to lean on. But here's the problem. The chronic victim isn't really looking for support. They're not looking to heal or improve. They've become comfortable in their role as the victim. It's a bit like a broken record. They tell the same sad stories over and over, recounting the same traumas and struggles, but they never take any steps to move forward. They're stuck in their pain. And what's worse, they start to pull you down with them. Every conversation is about how unfair life has been to them, how their boss doesn't appreciate them, how their family doesn't understand them, how everything always goes wrong. They never stop to take responsibility for their actions or see the role they play in their own life's drama. At first, you want to help. You listen. You offer advice, and you tell them it's okay to feel down. But there's always a point where the conversation starts to feel exhausting. And then, one day, you realize that it's not just the conversation that's draining. It's their constant state of emotional paralysis. Nothing changes, nothing ever gets better. And you start wondering, why am I the one always listening? Why am I always the one offering solutions when they don't want to change? I've been there too. There was a time when I spent hours talking with someone who always saw themselves as a victim. They were stuck in a loop of bitterness and complaints. And after a while, I noticed that I wasn't helping them anymore. I was just absorbing all their negativity. I found myself resenting the time I spent with them. I started to feel emotionally drained and even a bit angry because I couldn't make them see that their mindset was keeping them stuck. The sad truth is that people like this often don't want to get better. They want to stay in their comfort zone of being the victim because it gives them an excuse to avoid growth, responsibility, and change. And if you're not careful, their negativity can start to consume you too. Takeaway for viewers. This is a hard lesson to learn, but as you get older, you start to realize that your time and energy are precious. You can't keep giving them away to someone who isn't willing to do the work to improve their life. It's okay to distance yourself from people who choose to stay in victimhood, especially when they refuse to take responsibility for their lives. You deserve to be surrounded by people who inspire growth, not stagnation. Don't waste your precious energy trying to fix someone who isn't ready to fix themselves. Part 3. The unsubtle narcissist. Now, let's talk about a person who might not seem so obviously toxic at first, but trust me, over time, you'll start to feel their true impact. The unsubtle narcissist. Oh, they might look charming on the surface, charismatic, confident, and full of stories about their accomplishments. They'll know how to make you feel important, at least for a little while. But underneath that shiny exterior, there's something darker brewing. It's the constant need for attention, admiration, and validation. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself constantly feeding their ego. The narcissist's home isn't a space where mutual respect and admiration thrive. It's a place where everything always comes back to them. You'll quickly notice that no matter what the conversation starts off as, it could be about your day, your achievements, your struggles. Somehow, it always circles back to their greatness. They have this way of turning every conversation into a chance to remind you of how amazing they are. But here's the kicker. It's never just about sharing their successes. It's about constantly putting others down to elevate themselves. They might drop a compliment that feels more like a backhanded jab. You might walk in with a little excitement about your own wins, but you'll leave feeling small, like your achievements don't quite compare to theirs. I've been to their homes. At first, it felt like a whirlwind of high-energy conversations and flashy stories. But after a while, I started to feel like I was being used as a mere backdrop for their ego. Every interaction felt like a performance, one where I was just an audience member, clapping and nodding at the right times. And the worst part? When I did have something important to share, it felt like it was brushed aside, or worse, dismissed. It was like my voice didn't matter in the face of their greatness. The narcissist's constant need for validation creates an emotionally unsafe environment. It's exhausting to be around someone who always requires you to admire them, praise them, and affirm their worth. And trust me, it's not just exhausting, it's also damaging to your own sense of self-worth. Takeaway for viewers. Don't let yourself fall into the trap of being someone's emotional supply. True friendships are built on mutual respect and understanding, not one-sided admiration. If you find yourself always lifting someone up while your own needs are left unmet, it might be time to reconsider your relationship with that person. Your worth is not dependent on someone else's need for admiration. The next time you visit someone who makes everything about them, take a step back and ask yourself, am I being valued here, or am I just being used for validation? Part 4. The Jaded Skeptic. Have you ever spent time with someone who's constantly questioning everything, doubting every decision, and seeing the world through a lens of cynicism? The jaded skeptic is another person you should be cautious about as you get older. They seem to have an opinion on everything, and it's always negative. Nothing is ever good enough. Every idea, every dream, every plan is immediately shot down with, "That'll never work," or, "I tried that, and it failed." They seem to see the world as a series of problems, and their job is to point out every flaw. At first you might think, okay, they're just being realistic. But as time goes on, their constant negativity starts to wear you down. You'll find yourself doubting your own abilities, questioning whether your dreams are even worth pursuing. It's like the jaded skeptic has a way of planting seeds of doubt in your mind, and before you know it, you're stuck in their world of pessimism. I've had a few of these visits too. There was one friend in particular who could turn any conversation into a critique of society, a complaint about the government, or a judgment of people who were too hopeful. They'd list all the ways things could go wrong, and I'd sit there, silently absorbing their skepticism. In the beginning, I felt like they were just being realistic. But soon enough, I realized that this pessimistic worldview was holding me back. It made me question everything. My career, my dreams, even my relationships. The truth is, life is full of risks, and while caution is important, constant skepticism can paralyze you. It prevents you from taking chances, trying new things, and seeing opportunities. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of fear, doubt, and frustration. And visiting someone who only reinforces that mindset isn't just unproductive, it's toxic to your growth. Takeaway for viewers. As you get older, you start to realize that your time is too valuable to spend in environments where your dreams and ambitions are dismissed before they even have a chance to grow. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, who help you see the possibilities, not just the obstacles. The jaded skeptic might seem like a realist at first, but they're really just a barrier to your own progress. Protect your energy, and be cautious of those who want to squash your dreams with their constant negativity. Part 5. The Invisible Competitor. Now, let's move on to the person who's quietly, but constantly, competing with you, whether they know it or not. The invisible competitor is that friend, family member, or acquaintance who always seems to be sizing you up, whether it's in your career, your relationships, or even your personal achievements. They might not outright brag or even talk about their own accomplishments, but you can feel it. There's always an unspoken sense of competition in the air. They subtly make comments like, "Oh, that's cool you got that promotion, but did you know X got theirs too?" Or they ask you about your progress on a project just to tell you about their own. It's as if every success of yours is a challenge to them, and every accomplishment of theirs is a victory over you, even if they don't say it directly. I've experienced this with a few people in my life, and let me tell you, it's exhausting. You might not realize it at first, but after a while, you begin to notice the constant comparison, and it starts to affect how you feel about your own successes. It's like nothing you do is ever enough for them. Even when they seem to be supportive on the surface, there's always a slight edge to their words, a hidden competition that eats away at your confidence. They may not say it, but they're keeping score. The invisible competitor's home isn't a place of celebration for mutual wins. It's a place of quiet, passive comparison. They'll compliment you, but there's always a hint of, "I can do that better," or "I could have achieved that faster." And the worst part is, you start to internalize that energy. You stop feeling good about your own progress because you're constantly measuring it against someone else's. It's like being trapped in a race you didn't sign up for. I'll admit, I found myself frustrated after spending time with someone who made me feel like I was constantly being evaluated. What should have been a friendly chat about life achievements turned into a quiet competition where nothing I did seemed to measure up. It left me doubting my own path and questioning whether I was doing enough, simply because of the invisible competition they were constantly creating. It wasn't their fault entirely, but I had to recognize that their energy was affecting me. Takeaway for viewers. As you get older, you start to realize that life isn't a race with everyone around you. Your progress is your own, and someone else's achievements shouldn't diminish yours. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your wins without turning it into a comparison game. The invisible competitor's energy can drain your confidence, and you're better off walking away from those who don't truly value your journey. It's okay to distance yourself from those who make every interaction feel like a competition. Find people who lift you up, not ones who make you feel like you have to prove your worth. Part 6. The home of your past. This one might seem a little odd, but hear me out. The home of your past is often not a literal house. It's more of a metaphor for people or places that keep you stuck in who you used to be. It's the people who want you to stay the same as you were years ago, before all your growth, before all the changes you've gone through. These are the people who remind you of past mistakes, the versions of yourself that you've already outgrown, and they expect you to stay in that box forever. You see, as we age, we evolve. We change our views, our values, and the way we interact with the world, and that's completely natural. But sometimes people from our past, whether they're old friends, family members, or former colleagues, still want to define us by the person we were. Maybe they keep bringing up old stories, or referring to us in ways that no longer fit who we are today. It's like they want to freeze you in time and expect you to stay the same. And for a while, that can feel comfortable. After all, it's easy to slip back into those old patterns, but eventually, it becomes clear that it's holding you back. I've had my share of visits to the home of my past. They were places where the person I was before all the growth, self-discovery, and lessons seemed to still exist, frozen in time. People would talk about old Fu, the one who wasn't as confident, the one who was still figuring things out. And while there's nothing wrong with remembering where you came from, I began to realize that staying there too long kept me from moving forward. I was boxed in by the expectations and memories of who I used to be, not who I was becoming. What's worse, the people in the home of your past might not realize how stifling it is. They might see the changes in you as a threat or something to resist. They might want you to stay in the comfort zone of who you once were because it makes them feel comfortable too. But this is dangerous, because it stops you from evolving into the person you're meant to be, and that's something we can't afford to ignore. Takeaway for viewers. Sometimes we need to step away from places and people that want to keep us stuck in our past. Growth is essential to moving forward, and there will always be people who try to tie you to the version of yourself that no longer serves you. It's okay to love where you come from, but never let it define who you are now. The home of your past might feel familiar, but it can also trap you. As you get older, be brave enough to create new spaces, ones that reflect who you are now, not who you were. And remember, it's okay to walk away from those who aren't ready to see you for who you've become. Conclusion: protecting your peace and prioritizing your growth. As we reach the end of this exploration into the people and environments that can subtly, but powerfully impact our emotional and mental well-being, it's important to reflect on the core message. You have the right to protect your peace. It's easy to get caught up in the demands of others, in the expectations society places on us, or in relationships that no longer serve us. But the truth is, as you grow older, you become more aware of how vital it is to curate your environment intentionally. You don't have to keep tolerating people or situations that drain you, undermine your growth, or keep you stuck in a place of discomfort. By now, we've discussed 5 types of people whose homes, literal or metaphorical, you may want to avoid, or at least set clear boundaries with. From the toxic optimist, who dismisses your authentic feelings, to the chronic victim, who never takes responsibility for their life, to the invisible competitor, who makes everything a competition, and the narcissist, who demands admiration without reciprocity. Each of these people creates a dynamic that can ultimately hold you back. Not to mention, the energy vampire, the person who drains your emotional reserves, and the one who never apologizes, those whose actions leave unresolved tension and hurt. Finally, the chronic self-saboteur and the person who uses you for convenience. Both of these can quietly erode your self-worth and emotional energy, leaving you feeling like you're constantly giving more than you receive. It's a hard truth to accept, but the reality is, not everyone in your life is meant to stay there forever. As you evolve, as your dreams shift, and as your values become clearer, you may find that some relationships no longer align with the person you're becoming. That's okay. In fact, it's necessary for your growth. Sometimes, distancing yourself from toxic dynamics is the healthiest decision you can make. This isn't about being harsh or unforgiving. It's about understanding that, as you get older, your energy is finite. You don't have to keep offering it to people or environments that don't deserve it. And the sooner you make the decision to let go of what's holding you back, the sooner you'll make room for the relationships that truly matter. Ones that are grounded in mutual respect, love, and shared growth. The bottom line, recognize and set boundaries. It's crucial to identify the relationships and environments that drain you or keep you stuck. Once you recognize these dynamics, it's time to set clear, firm boundaries. This could mean reducing contact with certain people, confronting toxic behavior, or simply walking away from relationships that no longer serve your best interests. Protect your energy. Your emotional energy is one of your most valuable resources. Be mindful of who and what you allow into your life. You deserve people who lift you up, challenge you in positive ways, and allow you to grow. Don't waste time trying to fix or change people who aren't ready to change themselves. Embrace the growth process. As you grow, your needs and expectations from relationships will evolve. Be open to change, and trust that it's okay to outgrow people and situations. Surround yourself with individuals who encourage you to be your true self, who support your dreams, and who genuinely care about your well-being. Celebrate the healthy connections. When you make room for the right relationships, those that are built on trust, respect, and mutual understanding, you'll find yourself thriving. These are the connections that will truly nourish you and help you grow into the best version of yourself. Cherish them, nurture them, and prioritize them in your life. In the end, your happiness and peace of mind are what matter most. Let go of relationships and environments that make you feel small, unsupported, or drained. Prioritize your emotional well-being, because as you grow older, you'll begin to realize that the people you surround yourself with have a profound impact on your life. Protect your peace, nurture the connections that help you grow, and trust that by doing so, you'll create a space where only the most fulfilling and supportive relationships can flourish. A final thought. You have the power to decide who gets a seat at your table. It's your life, your energy, and your peace. So, make it count. Let go of what doesn't serve you and embrace the relationships that bring out the best in you. Your future self will thank you for it. And as always, remember, the best is yet to come.